welcome to Procurement Pivots, the podcast for procurement professionals wanting to navigate change successfully and create career success on your own terms. I'm Donna Bowden, procurement career coach and founder of Narrate Your Career.
And I'm Laura Sellers, executive coach for procurement and founder of Coaching for Procurement. And between us, we bring almost 25 years of supporting and working with procurement professionals. And it's fair to say we've navigated many of our own career pivots along the way. And now we're here to help you do the same.
Each episode will share practical strategies, honest conversations, and expert insights to help you confidently tackle the changes and challenges in your procurement career.
Let's get started.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Procurement Pivots podcast. Hey, Donna.
Hello, how are you today?
Yeah, good, thank you. I've got my green smoothie with me today to convince myself I'm being healthy this week. So,
what have you got with your smoothie though, Laura?
It's just a smoothie mix. So, I forgot with it. Oh, sorry, no, you're going to expose me. Right, okay. Donna's going to expose me, everyone, that I'm having the healthy smoothie. But what I didn't tell you is that I also stopped by the bakery for a sausage butty on the way back from the school run today.
Thank you. Let's give the full picture.
Let's give the full picture. See, that's the Instagrammable bit of the green smoothie. Oh, I feel totally exposed. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So this week we are covering a topic that we were just saying we can't believe we haven't covered this yet, because it is a core part of both of our businesses, and that is the topic of strength.
Yes. We're really excited to talk about this one because, as Laura said, like in both of the both of the spaces that we operate in, like this comes up so frequently, and we are supporting so many of our clients, actually, whether that is individuals or teams, to really kind of understand their strengths and how they can use their strengths positively to build a successful career for themselves. So yeah, it's really important. And I think actually this one kind of resonates for us as well, doesn't it? Just in terms of our own pivots that we've made and leaning into our own strengths as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. So as Donna has said, we do cover this a lot in our businesses, but there's quite a few different ways that are different lenses, like we say, like different perspectives to look at them from as well. So we're going to take you through them in this episode. Where would you like to start, Donna?
I think just maybe even just acknowledging that understanding your strengths, like that is such a foundational kind of skill in itself, if you like, that can really help you to build confidence in so many different ways, I would say. So, I think, people talk about understand your strengths a lot, but actually, do you really understand your strengths? Like, actually, have you really taken that time to really delve deep and kind of I suppose, ensure that that actually you do really understand kind of those key strengths that you bring. And I think a lot of people, like, they maybe scratch the surface with it, I would say, but actually going deeper and really understanding it and recognizing it and kind of thinking about what does that mean now, but what does that mean for my future decisions as well? Like I just think it's so foundational.
Yeah, and I think the great thing to think about strengths as well is that we all have them. They're accessible to all of us. We've had them, and not just in the stage of our careers that we're in now. And you can start a new role, for example, and feel like you're out of your depth. And we've talked about imposter syndrome before, but the thing is about strengths for me, and you were saying just earlier about going deeper, that they've always been there. They've left clues. So I always like to say to my clients, no matter where I meet them in their career journey, is that you're never starting from scratch, ever.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
strengths do leave clues.
Yeah.
And thinking back, to even when you had a first maybe little job when you were younger, what was good about that, what brought out the best in you about that as well. And you'll be surprised at how you can find those links spanning back over the length and breadth of your career.
Yeah. And I think, also strengths on, I think in a procurement sense, like often when people talk about strengths, they immediately think about a lot of the technical strengths. Oh, I'm really good at IT procurement. I'm really good at supply relationship management, which I appreciate could be technical or a softer skill as well. But I think it's definitely not just those technical areas of procurement. It's the kind of the way in which you go about things. Like how do you resolve those problems? How do you build those relationships? So yeah, I think it's looking at strengths from a variety of different kind of places as well, not just thinking about those technical strengths that you bring.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because again, it's so easy in a role like procurement, because like you say, there's the technical knowledge, which is fundamental for anyone to be great at what they do in that profession. But it does go beyond that. It goes
Mm,
beyond that. Well, how do you bring that technical knowledge to life? How are you communicating that with your stakeholders? How are you bringing that to life in your team? So
yeah,
it is the wider piece as well that we look at. So,
yeah.
and this is another thing, isn't it? That we don't always know that they're strengths because they come so
Mm,
naturally to us.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think also a lot of people just, certainly in the conversations that I have, particularly in relation to helping people to prepare for job moves, like they just think, well, that's a given doing what I do. Like they just think that because they're doing it, everyone else is doing it as well. And so therefore, is it really a strength? And so, yeah, I think, yeah, this is just really important. I mean, something I definitely wanted to bring up and something that I think is really important to consider is not just understanding your strengths, but also laying that on top of which of your strengths do you actually enjoy using? Because so many people have built their career on strengths that they do really, really well, but they just don't enjoy using that kind of strength regularly. And I think it's when it comes to using your strengths to help you to make future decisions for yourself, and this can be future decisions internally in your organization, future decisions about maybe possible external moves, like really understanding and drilling down on, okay, what am I really, really, really good at? Maybe what am I better at than other people? What are the kind of areas that I really feel that I excel in? But how do I feel, about those strengths? And do those strengths light me up, or do they kind of make me go, oh, doing more of that for the next 5 years? Like, does the idea of it kind of excite you or drain you? So I just think that is a massive, like a massive kind of important differentiation. Like just because you're really, really good at something doesn't mean you have to build your whole career around that. You have choice of which of your strengths you choose to kind of base your career on, really. So it's not just, oh, I can do it well and it pays me well. I'll just keep doing that forever. If you don't enjoy it, that's not sustainable.
And that's the pivotal word, isn't it? Is choice. Because
Choice.
that's why people come to work with us, because it's
Yeah.
around what do you want? So let's put your needs and your wants and your choices back in the forefront, because
Yeah.
I think people can reach at particularly a senior level of their careers and feel like, well, this is it now. I might not be fully fulfilled, but the stakes are too high to make any changes. But actually,
Yeah.
this choice of the strengths, well, maybe we just need to reframe what that
Mm,
looks like for you where you are. And like you say, it could be internally, externally. We both obviously support people in different ways, but I think these sorts of tools that we work through with you, these aspects of your career, are to serve you for the long run. They are,
totally.
yeah, they're not, we meet you at the here and now with your
Yeah.
strengths, but
Yeah.
any of this work that you do is for sustainable, longer term career success, and strengths are a huge part of that.
Yeah. Massive. I mean, it's that kind of strength piece is a big part of the work that I do, the early work I do with most of the clients actually that I'm supporting, whether they're trying to make a decision about what the right next path is for them. Um, but also those people that are crystal clear on what they want. Actually strengths is then also a really big part of, okay, well, you know what you want and where you want to get to, how are you going to get there? And a big part of how is usually, celebrating and showcasing and bringing visibility and the spotlight to those strengths. So, I think it's yeah, I mean, I've said the word important about 1,000 times already on this, but just we can't emphasize enough, like actually what a difference it can make when you really understand your strengths. Like it can just people show up differently. They show up differently. I think we're in a really challenging market internally and externally, and it can be much harder to stand out and, much harder to get time with the key people in your organization and externally. And I just think when you do really understand that, you just show up more confidently, more consistently.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the fundamental work on exploring what strengths that you already think you know. And if you're not sure, that's why we go under the surface. But what about the strengths that we just don't know that we have? So I'm not
Mm,
talking about the things that we don't have the confidence to stand
yeah.
firm with and say that I'm really good at this. What about the strengths that we have, but they're such a given that we don't know? How do we activate those that are strengths that other people might see us having?
Yeah. Well, I think this is where, often kind of working with someone else can be incredibly helpful, can't it? Because, if you're struggling to see that yourself, sometimes having a different perspective can sorry, for anyone on YouTube watching this, I've literally got a fly like trying to land on my nose right now. So that's just put me off slightly. So yeah, I think yeah, sometimes I mean one way that can be really helpful, I think, is when you are working with a coach, for instance, you've got someone that is helping you to hold that mirror up and kind of asking lots of different questions to encourage you to kind of think about different aspects and bring in kind of an external viewpoint as well. Because I think yeah, it can sometimes be very, very difficult for people to be able to either recognize the strengths that are the strengths or allow themselves to recognize them, because some people feel really uncomfortable kind of acknowledging them.
Mm. Yeah, and it's interesting because with the personality profile deep dive that we do in the coaching, like I did the insights discovery training recently, and there's a great um aspect of the profile. It shows like the strengths that you actively lean into, and then there's the parts of you that other people might see, and it's just a blind spot to you.
Mm,
And that can really give us confidence to go, oh, actually, I didn't think I was good at that, but actually, I am doing this, and other
mm,
people see. And that's where we get the feedback from others, which is also really important,
yeah,
isn't it? To ask
yeah.
people how they see us when we're at our best.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I also with a lot of my clients, like we do quite a big piece of work together, which is really kind of helping them to pull together almost like a log of their greatest moments, their most proud moments, their kind of projects they've worked on. But then we're starting to look at actually what are the patterns that have come through. So, I think people often they're able to talk about individual projects, for instance, or individual roles they've done, but it's looking at the sort of collective patterns that keep recurring, the themes that kept showing up. What are the consistent themes, for instance, like you say, in terms of the feedback that you got at that moment in time. What were the skills and strengths that you were exercising and using at that point that you were really feeling great about what you were doing. So I think kind of tools that can help you to identify and actually see the patterns, sometimes for the first time. Like often, we don't necessarily look holistically at our career. We live in the moment and then we move on to the next moment and the next moment, but we don't necessarily have the time or create the time to say, well, how do those different scenarios link up? What does
Mm.
that then tell us?
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's the success leaves clues, the strengths leave clues.
Totally. Yeah.
we can look back, and I love what you say there about we move on to the next thing so easily. And that could be because we've changed companies or something, therefore that chapter gets
Yeah,
closed and put away. We move into the here and now, but it is all still so relevant and so important. So yeah, I mean, to get feedback on that as well is such an important aspect to this, because like I say, when we're in the thick of it, we don't always see what else we're bringing to something. So,
yeah,
and you don't even need to ask people for feedback who you want to ask people for feedback who know you well. So
mm,
people that you've worked with for a long time, but even people who know you outside of work is a good way just to get that feedback and that insight into what people see you as being really good at, because you will be
yeah,
surprised. You'll be really
yeah.
surprised when what people see in you that you don't see in yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also it's in kind of thinking if if you are almost building up this evidence bank of feedback, it's then thinking how can you then use that? Because for so many people, I mean, I think it can be a British thing. Oh, I'm really uncomfortable kind of talking about what I'm good at. What will people think? But I think also in procurement as well, procurement has created this environment where so many people feel like actually the best work has to happen under the radar. We shouldn't be pestering the stakeholders left, right, and centre. We should just be doing all this stuff and then just delivering the result at the end. But I think it's kind of when you do get that feedback, like sometimes it can be more comfortable sharing other people's feedback rather than sharing it from your own viewpoint. And so actually, formalizing some of the feedback as well. I think, having some of it as anecdotal kind of passing comment feedback is really helpful, but also then thinking about how can you formalize some of that and actually use it as evidence, part of your social proof, if you like, internally as well as externally as well. So I think that, yeah, certainly I've seen that can be really, really, really helpful. And even, if you're getting multiple sets of written feedback, for instance, like nowadays, we've got all these amazing AI tools at our fingertips. In 5 seconds, 10 seconds, you could, obviously take out any sensitivities and anything confidential and names, etc. But put the feedback into an AI tool and say, right, what are the themes and patterns that are coming through consistently? What are the strengths that are showing up? What are the values? Like actually in seconds, you've got this amazing kind of picture of actually what is that consistent messaging and feedback telling you?
That is such a great point. AI is great for that sort of thing. Like, especially if you do have the results of any profiling that you have done in the past, but you've just locked it away in a drawer somewhere, to be able to link it to where you are and where you want to be and say, by the way, I've tested as this color
Mm,
energy, for example, or I did a different profile that I then plugged into I'm running my business. Where are my
yeah,
strengths and
yeah,
and I mean it's a rabbit hole that I can quite often go down, but it's
yeah.
this is where AI can be used for a way that maybe we're not talking about as much around to give you that confidence, because
Yeah,
it can reflect back to you the things that you might have forgotten or might not see.
yeah,
So that's a great point
yeah.
about the
And I
AI.
think that does tie back into, oh, it feels like a long time ago now. We did an episode on validation, didn't we? And
Oh, we
kind of,
did.
back in the day,
Back in the
back in
day.
2025 when we first launched, that was probably, I feel like that was maybe in the first like 10 or so episodes, maybe that we did that. Maybe that was the second V when we were kind of focusing on the acronym. But I think, validation is a massive part of kind of how people see themselves. And we spoke a lot about that kind of self-validation versus validation from others. And a lot of people do take a lot of comfort from that external validation. And that then enables them to kind of believe it and see it themselves as well.
It was episode 15, by the way. I've just gone and looked
Oh,
it up. So it
damn, I
was the
was
third
wrong.
V. It was the
Oh,
third
okay.
V. But
Okay.
just to touch on what you were saying there about that external validation and internal, I think we went into the subject of recognition, and it was really interesting because I was running a session for the leadership development program that I'm working with a corporate client, and we were talking about recognition and how differently people interpreted it within the same team. So for somebody, recognition for them was around the doing a really good job, you've done great. And then for somebody else, it was like, no, I just want recognition in terms of the package that I have, like, so it's totally different. So in terms of those strengths, we all have those strengths that we play to, but equally it shows up differently for us all, which is why it's so important to know how your strengths show up for you.
Yeah.
And going back to the recognition and the validation, how can you then get that to align with what it is you need to keep you going with those strengths, that motivation? Because, and we were talking just before we pressed record on this around feedback and about how either we're not asking for enough feedback or we have asked for feedback and people don't know how to give it well. So that's also a missed opportunity, isn't it? It's a missed opportunity if you are not giving feedback to your team. It's a missed opportunity for you if you're not asking for it to actually propel yourself forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the summary here is we both believe, and we've seen, like, the big difference that it can make when you're clear about your own strengths, like you understand what they are and which ones you love using. And I suppose it's then building that confidence with kind of actually working out, which ones are the ones that I want to base my career around?
Yeah.
Which ones are the ones that I want to be known for? Which ones, some of those strengths, you might be happy to keep them under the radar and it's fine. It's like, I know I'm doing this really well, but others don't need to know about that. So I think it's also then kind of, working out, and this starts to then move into the personal brand that you're building for yourself. It's like, actually, what is it that you want others to know? Which of those strengths are the ones that are like your super strengths that you think, do you know what, I want to become known for that strength? Because that might be your differentiator internally. That might be the difference of a stakeholder, giving you access to opportunities at the beginning, not, oh, by the way, can you put a contract in place because we've done this deal? So I think, internally, the right stakeholder, understanding the right strengths could create a future career opportunity for you. Like I've seen it recently, like quite a few of my clients actually, they've actually been approached about opportunities that sit in the business with senior stakeholders that they've supported, and actually increasing the visibility of both, what they enjoy doing and what they are really good at doing, to people in the business. Like sometimes it can create some like really unexpected opportunities that don't sit in core procurement because the right people, they know the right things about you.
Yes, and they see the person beyond the technical aspects of
Totally.
the role. And that's what we
Totally.
were going back to earlier, because it is more than just the procurement technical aspects. This is where the impact, that's where the differentiator is, right? Is the how you do it and how you bring it to life. So that's
Totally.
such a
Yeah.
good one. There is a side of strengths that I would like to shine a light on here, and that's when we overuse them. So, and I'm going to give you a few examples here, because this is where sometimes people might stop them asking for feedback, or they've had feedback and they think, actually, oh, I'm rubbish at that,
Yeah.
therefore we discount everything. And that is when we overuse our strengths. So the examples are, let's say you're a procurement professional who is exceptional at nailing the details in contracts. You can be so good at that attention to detail. And as a strength, particularly in a role like procurement contract managers, for example, that it's such a great strength to have. When we lean into and overuse that strength, when we're under pressure, we double down on it and we lose that element of flexibility. It can be that we can be inflexible, or we never finish something because we turn into perfectionistic tendencies. So that's one example. Another example is that you can be really strong as a negotiator, and you're really strong as a leader. You can lead your team through crisis because you're
Yeah.
really, really strong. So that's when it's on a good day, when you're
Yeah.
using that strength really well. But when the pressure hits it can then become a bit overused, and that might be that we lose that connection with people because we're putting our
Mm,
game face on too much, or we go a bit too strong on the negotiation. And then if we've received some feedback about that, where people have seen that strength overused on a good day, we then discount it as a completely great strength on a good
mm,
day, as
yeah.
opposed to on a bad day. And then another great one is around being brilliant with people, brilliant as a relationship builder, brilliant as a business partner on a good day. On a not so good day, that's where our people pleasing tendencies can come out.
Mm,
So I just want to really shine a light on this, because sometimes when we don't have when we don't want to brag about our strengths, or when we don't want to sound like we're bragging, or we feel like actually it's a perceived weakness in us, we
yeah.
need to see these strengths and our development areas as two sides of a coin, where we need to use them on a good day and be aware of when we're slipping into bad day tendencies. And the gap
Mm,
between that is understanding, when we're under pressure, how we deal with
yeah.
pressure, making sure we're topping up our cup in terms of energy and sleep and all those sorts of things. It's probably another episode in itself there, like the
Yeah.
good and dark side, but I just want to shine a
Yeah.
light on that, because we can easily discount a
Yeah.
strength if somebody has given us some feedback on
Yeah.
that element. And
Mm,
actually, it's on a good day, it's a great
yeah.
strength. When we
Yeah.
overuse it, it can hold us back.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Um, so we had a couple of questions for you actually, for anyone listening in. So um, the first one that we thought just would be quite helpful for you to just consider and just ask yourself is, how confident are you out of 10 that you actually know and understand your own true strengths? So how confident are you out of 10 that you actually know your own strengths? And then the next one, Laura, do you want to share that one?
Sure. So once you've then assessed that and given yourself a score, we then want you to score again on how confident are you that others recognize those strengths within
Mm,
you. So you're going to have two scores. You're going to have the score for how confident you are in your strengths,
yeah,
and the second score is for how confident are you that others see it, that
yeah,
see those very same strengths.
yeah,
Yeah, and hopefully that will give you a place to start from. So if it's quite a low score, we need to do some work on
yeah,
identifying those strengths. If it's a low score and others seeing you, and if those
yeah,
scores are vastly different, let's say you've scored yourself at, yeah, I know my strengths, I'm a 7,
yeah,
and then but you're actually scoring a 3 for others seeing, that's the gap. That's the
yeah.
gap that we need to work on closing.
Yeah, and this is data, isn't it? It's
Mm.
data that can help you to decide actually what is the action that I'm going to take step by step, small actions, small shifts that are going to help me to close that gap that you're talking about. Um, So yeah, this was our start point of talking about strengths. It's a
Mhm.
massive topic, and yeah, as you say, it may well be one that we come back and revisit in more detail in the future. But as always, we would love for you to feel that you can come to us with any questions you've got or thoughts around this. This is a incredibly key part of your career toolkit, essentially, to help you to set yourself up for success in your career, internally within your role, externally for any future kind of external moves. So yeah, do share with us. Like we love to hear from you. Um, Share with us kind of how you've even scored yourself as well if you're feeling brave, and what that's now going to mean for kind of any steps that you're going to take going forwards.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And like I say, we're looking for data, and we're looking for a starting point. We're meeting you where you are, and we just focus on the next step with the end goal in mind. But this sort of data can help us to know where we need to focus.
Yeah,
And then a final takeaway, just to get that feedback. Get that
yeah,
feedback from people who know you really well. And a great question to ask them is, how do you see me when I'm at my best?
yeah, yeah,
And these can be people outside of work who know you well, or somebody who knows you really well in the workplace. It's one question: how do you see me when I'm
yeah,
at my best?
yeah. So I'll add a little challenge with that then. So why don't you over the next week try and ask one person that you wouldn't have asked ordinarily, ask one person for feedback, and the add-on to that is why don't you then share with us? Share it privately. This isn't about sharing it on a public forum. If you're connected to me or Laura, or both of us, feel free to share that, because actually getting into a consistent habit of asking people for feedback, like, it's such a positive move, and it can really help. Like, actually, constructive feedback can be incredibly helpful with your growth and development, but actually that positive feedback that you get can really help your self-belief and self-confidence. So it's win-win all round, to be honest. So yeah, good luck with that, and yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So thanks so much, everyone, once again for tuning in, and we'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Yeah, thanks so much, everyone. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Procurement Pivots. We hope today's episode gave you actionable tips to help you to continue to move forward in your procurement career.
If you enjoyed the conversation, follow our episodes, share them with others, and please support us on our social media channels for others that might be interested to tune in.